Okay, good evening. We're back for Lucky 13, week 13, EPA3. This is our first session of the 13th week in the coronavirus semester. I'm not sure why this is showing here, but I just did a system update, so maybe that's why. Let's get that out of the way. Now you know that I'm using Flashback Pro 5 recorder for my recordings. The university gave us something different. Free license for on-campus use, and we could use it off-campus for the semester for as long as the license lasted. It wasn't a purchase. It was a, I don't know, 6-month by 6-month license or something. But I didn't like it very much. It actually is a very good tool, and a lot of your other Korean professors are using it. It's called DocZoom. Not Zoom, but DocZoom. But when I first installed it at home, it only installed in Korean. I couldn't figure out how to make it English, and I couldn't really understand it. And so I tried out this other thing as a freeware and liked it and bought the license. The lifetime license was only about $50, about 6만 원. And then I found out how to change DocZoom, the school license, into English. But, you know, that license is only good as long as the school pays for it. And since I paid for this and it's lifetime and I like it and it does some nice stuff, not quite everything the same as DocZoom. DocZoom has a feature this one doesn't. This one has a feature DocZoom doesn't. That's a parenthetical remark. Still in the same sentence. I decided to stay with my Flashback Pro 5 recorder. But you can also use Flashback Pro in the free version, and the difference is you can't edit as much after the fact, but you can still do the neat stuff like move the monitor around, move the camera around inside the screen area, set the screen area larger or smaller, etc., etc. This is EPA3, and I can just talk about whatever. I'm going to tell you that you might have noticed that I've changed the screen dimensions a little bit. For those of you who have new computers with really nice big screens, you probably are used to the 16 by 9 format, which is a little bit wider than the traditional. If you are opening up a PowerPoint, making a new PowerPoint, it gives you the choice of the 16 by 9 or the 4 by 3. 4 by 3 equals like 12 by 9, right? So 16 by 9 is 30% wider or something. But I actually trimmed this a little bit to make it even less than 4 by 3. It's more like 11 by 9 because my monitor or my camera is basically set at 4 by 3, and the reason for that is because I'm in a room which is quite narrow, and you don't need to see my dirty bookcase or look at my otjang, which do nothing for you. I prefer to have a basically blank background. And you'll remember that I actually slide off part of my screen so that you don't notice the door and the door frame and the bag of coffee that's supposed to be a kind of a scent or a scent killer in this room. And if I turn the camera, what you'll see up here will be more otjang, closed cabinets, wardrobe, armoire, as they say. And at the very top there, that's actually a backpack slash suitcase. It's the kind of suitcase you can take on an airplane or whatever. It just fits. It's 21 inches long. But it also has 2 straps on it to make a backpack. It also has 2 wheels on it to drag. And I keep it up there, and you can just see the corner of it. Also in my room today, I have a fly, which is not so cool. And if you see my hands move around, you'll notice that I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt today. I went out to the Shijang a little while ago to do some shopping and put on a short sleeve shirt and just decided to keep wearing it. So no tie. It's hot today. It's probably 30 outside earlier. Now it's probably 25. The fan is blowing, so I'm wearing a headset so that you don't hear the noise. And that's kind of how that is. Now, let's go ahead and get started with the class. That was about 5 minutes of wasting time, free talk English, not really paying attention to what I'm saying. So if you didn't get it all, don't worry about it. That's not on the test. All right. So, excuse me, I'm getting yawny. It's only 8:47 p.m. on a Sunday night. It's not late yet. And I woke up late. Last class in Zoom on Friday, I talked about the new attendance rules. And I told you, actually, I talked about it last week, Monday recording, as a matter of fact, I think. Yeah, I did. Because in our last Zoom class, we didn't have any PowerPoint background at all. I'm not happy that people aren't completing the recording on a timely basis. That is, not watching the Monday recording before our next class, which is Thursday in EPA3. So I told you about our new rule that you have to finish the recorded video in the same week. That I want you to watch it before the Thursday class, but absolutely you have to watch it before the end of Sunday night. So I want to take a look at that. Here is the CTL for our class at 8:49 p.m. on Sunday night. And you can see that last week's recording and tonight, Sunday night, is the last chance to catch up on that. There's still one person who hasn't watched it. And this past week, week 12, now it's Sunday night, 4 people have not yet watched it. You have 3 hours from now, 3 hours from now to watch it. If you watch this video on Monday or Tuesday, you've already missed it. You've already lost 1 point as an absence, okay? It's now a 1-week program. Don't fall behind. There is also a homework that you might not have seen yet, and that's okay, because the homework just opened tonight, Sunday night, and you have until Wednesday to do it. Okay? Opens June 7th, that's Sunday night, and it closes June 10th. June 10th is Wednesday night, so before our Thursday class. And the assignment is based on the topic. Oh my gosh, I do have a yawn. I'm sorry. The topic, the question here is based on our reading of tonight, which we will discuss more on Thursday. What is the difference between pervasive, which is the title of our reading, and endemic? And this is a hint. Endemic is kind of sort of related to pandemic, which you may have heard of, related to the coronavirus, or epidemic. Okay? It's still the same demic. So, which word better describes Korea's corruption situation? At the time of the article we read this week, that is, this article is from 2011, almost 10 years ago. And then, have things changed for the better? Have they changed at present for better or for worse? So you need to find out what's the right word for 2011, pandemic or endemic. That means you need to look it up in a dictionary, maybe 2 or 3 dictionaries. Not just a Korean dictionary, because I'm not sure if they translate well. This is a job where you look up 2 or 3 dictionaries. These words are challenging. Honestly, from the top of my head, I can't really tell you a good explanation. I had to look it up the other day. What is pervasive? What is endemic? I want you to look it up. and I want you to write it for me. And then I want you to voice record it. Okay? I don't need the writing, but I think you should write it so you can do it well. Make an audio recording. It should be roughly 30 seconds ago that responds to these questions. What is the difference between pervasive and endemic? Which word better describes Korea's condition at the time we read the article, at the time of the article? And have things changed at present for better or worse? Now, the reason I suggest you write it is so that you can speak clearly. The reason I want you to record it is because it's too easy to copy paste something, put it down on paper, and not understand it. And not only that, you can't even pronounce the words. Or you copy this long sentence that you can't say the sentence. For much of your life, when somebody asks you a question, they expect you to answer with speech. So this assignment, you may want to practice saying it a few times. After you've found an answer, you may choose to revise, break down, rewrite what you have found as information to a level where you can say it. I do the same thing. When I'm working on my presentations, I'm doing a live conference presentation this Sunday. It will be a distance presentation. It will be a live online video presentation. And there's some sentences, some ideas that I can steal from other people and rework it, but I have to say it. And so sometimes I want to rewrite it, revise it, change a word so that it becomes my English the way I can say it comfortably. So that's your job this week, is not only to find the technical differences, but to be able to say, to explain the differences in English. And that means to be careful of your words, make sure you can say them. If you can't pronounce it well, you're not going to get full points. Okay? You can write your answer and read your answer if you wish. You can write your answer and read from that if you wish. Please don't send me a video because we have server problems. It's actually getting worse around campus. More professors are requiring more things. Students are submitting reports. Sometimes they're video reports. So we have this server issue. So we're going, that's why we can't do live testing on the campus server since I'm using Zoom for our test, and I do it from home, and you're doing it probably not from the campus. It doesn't affect our campus server. All right, make an audio recording. It should be roughly 30 seconds or so, not 2 minutes, not 10 seconds. All right, it's probably going to take you 3, 4, 5 sentences. First sentence, what's the difference between pervasive and endemic? That's probably a sentence or two. In 2011, maybe pervasive was better. Maybe endemic was better. But nowadays, conditions have gotten better. Conditions have gotten worse. And maybe another word is a better word. Okay? Could be 2 really long sentences. I could probably say them. I'm trained as a lawyer in English. But for you, it might be harder. So maybe you want to make 3 or 4 or even 5 shorter sentences. Okay, so that's your homework. And yeah, you don't have much time because you might not watch this video until Tuesday or Wednesday if you're lazy. And you know what? When we have our Zoom on Thursday, if you haven't watched this video, I don't know why I'm saying this, but if you haven't watched this video by Wednesday night, you're going to miss this homework. Surprise. Yeah, Professor Dickey is evil sometimes. It's true. Okay, I wanted to go back and look at one other thing. A reminder, check your attendance. You have to use the app, the Janja Chulsuk app, to find out exactly what's right. And if there's a mistake, please tell me. I'll try to fix it. All right. 학습 자료실, June 8, Monday, topic. But before we move there, let's go back to the PowerPoint. All right. So I've mentioned the new attendance rules. Today's stuff. Thursday's class, the Zoom class, students voted for stuff instead of just the book. And I mentioned the corruption thing at that time. I have some other things that are longer, but we're going to just try this one for now. Okay. Along with the reading that I'm going to walk you through the reading tonight. I want you to think about this image that follows here. And this image might help you think about things. We're going to tie it all together. Oh, I wrote Friday. This is EPA3. Our class is Thursday. Thursday, we'll talk about the video, the reading and the picture, and this idea of the spoons of Korea. Very often people say gold, silver, and dirt. I don't like the word dirt. It doesn't quite sound right. I mean, I understand in Korean, and we sometimes talk about a dirt house, right? But in English, a better word would be earthen, made of dirt, made of earth. Earthen, then being the adjective form, okay? An earthen house, not a dirt house. Dirt sounds like it falls apart in your fingers. Earthen sounds like it could be packed together. But can you really eat with an earthen spoon? As soon as it gets wet, it falls apart. Maybe that's the point in Korean. I'm not sure. But we build houses, and they get rained on, and they survive. You know, they're kind of like bricks that aren't well baked, or maybe not baked at all. And I know about this because my father-in-law's house, one of the inside walls was made this way. And after about 25 years, one day it collapsed. And it was just made of dirt and straw and cow doo-doo, I think. But it wasn't baked. It was just dried in the sun. And so after a time, somebody bumped it or something, and it fell apart. So earthen might not be the right word if we're thinking about spoons. So I want to toss out the idea of ceramic. Ceramic. Dojagi, maybe? Or, you know, the kind of pots that you make kimchi in, the kimchi pots, something like that. Think about the inside that's not shiny and glazed, or maybe the outside that is glazed. Maybe ceramic is the right word. And then some people talk about like diamond or platinum being even higher than gold. Well, maybe. It's not my job to tell you how to interpret a Korean idea. I might give you some facts about the reality of things that happened in Korea, the way the world understands Korean history instead of how some people are imagining history. If you haven't heard me say before, Park Chung-hee was a great revisionist. I'm going to write that word for you. Revisionist. I need to lower this so you can see it. R-E-V-I-S-I-O-N. Revision means to revise, to change, hopefully to make it more correct. Revisionist, a person or philosophy about changing things. Okay, and we talk about revisionist history is when people say history the way it is written is wrong, we need to change it. Now, could be the history that's written is wrong and it needs to be changed. Yes, it certainly can be so. Oh, the Japanese wrote this history. That's not true Korean history. Yes, that certainly can be true. What we talk about when we are concerned about revisionist history is the fact that some people change the history to suit their purposes because they have some other reason for changing history, not because the history was wrong, but because they want to make people think differently. And we can imagine stories like Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany, who changed the way people understood the history of Germany in order to make them feel like proud Germans, we are Nazis, we are great. And the Jews suffered for that, and many other minority people in Germany suffered for that. And Austria became part of Germany because Austria is German. That was the revisionist history. And yet everyone else around the world said, there's no history of Austria being part of Germany. In fact, kind of the opposite. There were times when the emperors in Germany controlled big parts of, the emperors in Austria controlled big parts of Germany. And other parts of Germany were controlled by France, and other parts of Germany were controlled by Poland. And Germany was never one country until 1870s something. Before that, they were all little tiny principalities, little tiny countries that fought with each other. They spoke the same language, but they didn't think they were the same people. So Hitler created a revisionist history. So we often question revisionist history. All right, revisionist history. As I was saying, many people think that Bak Chung-hee was involved in revisionist history. Before Bak Chung-hee, nobody really talked about Dangun. Before Bak Chung-hee, nobody talked very much about Yi Sun-shin. Yi Sun-shin, is that right? Yeah, the famous admiral. Defeated the Japanese. I don't mean in the 1910, 1920, 1930 Japanese time. Even in the Joseon Shide, nobody talked about it. I don't say he existed or he didn't, but nobody talked about him. Bak Chung-hee made this important so that we would be proud to be Korean. So that's a kind of revisionist history. And sometimes it's important and needed and good. And sometimes it's done for evil purposes. So the question here is, if we think about the spoons of Korea, is this, are we talking about some kind of true history or revisionist history? Is it just jealousy? These are things to think about. I don't say what's right or what's wrong, because this is not exactly facts. This is how you interpret facts. We can get certain information. You know, there is a 2%. The upper 2% with most money and the most power, most connections. There definitely is. Economics tells us this. All right? How do we interpret that? So I'm going to show you this picture briefly for now. Then we're going to do the reading, and I will put this picture on the 학습 자료. Here's the picture. You may have seen this somewhere before. This picture tries to explain the difference between equality and equity. Equality and equity. Now, for many people, it's the same thing. They don't understand a difference. When you show them the picture, then the question becomes, well, what's fair? What is fair? With equality, everybody gets treated the same. The tall guy, the middle guy, the little guy, they all get one box to stand on. And that's fair, isn't it? In equity, the tall guy gets no box. The tall guy loses his box. The little guy gets 2 boxes. Now, wait a second. You have to know that with a box, the tall guy can see even better. Okay? He can see even better. And maybe if he wanted to, he could even sit on the box. But we took that box away from that tall guy. And we gave that box to the little guy. So now, equity says they all can see about the same. They all can see over the fence, approximately the same. Actually, it looks like the middle guy is actually maybe a little bit low. Maybe. Look at the shoulders. The little guy, his arms are up. It looks like his shoulder actually could lean over the fence. The middle guy, the fence is higher than the top of his shoulders. And the tall guy is just a little bit below the top of his shoulder. So maybe the little guy actually has the best benefit. Maybe. So the picture on the right is a demonstration of equity. Equity says we don't care about the means, what we give each person. We care about the end, what happens after all is done. Okay, so we could think about this also like this. Equality is concerned with treating everyone equally, the same, or as close the same as possible. Equality. But equity everyone has the same result. Okay, the outcome. What happens at the end of the game? It means I have to give somebody extra so that they finish the same. Which one's more fair? Well, guess what? If you're a gold spoon, you really don't want somebody taking some of your benefit and give it to somebody else. Right? The elite, the people who have the height or the money or the power, they don't want to give what is theirs to somebody else. Most people don't want to do that. But the earthen spoon people, the people who have the least advantage now, they want to say it's not fair because your grandfather had money and so your father had money and so you have money and my grandfather had no money and so it's not fair, many people would say. So what do you think? More importantly, how can you explain it well so that other people can understand your position, right? You don't want to get into an argument. People get angry and cry, fight. You want to be able to explain why your view is more fair. So that's the kind of thing that our challenge will be on Thursday. All right, let's kill that. No, let's just forget that. Pull it out of the way. Okay. Let's go back and look at pervasive corruption. Based on the vote from the Zoom class, we'll do an outside topic. So this reading is from the Korea Times of about 9 years ago. Some people would say things haven't changed much. We have had the Kim Jong-un pass since then. And the computer's weird. I don't know why it does like this. But anyway, you can find the Kim Jong-un. Here's a summary of it in Wikipedia in English. Of course, you can find it in Korean. And you probably know it pretty well. And it definitely has impacted my life because now students can't even buy me a cup of coffee. So they say. All right. Pervasive corruption. So here's the question. What's corruption? We can't very well talk about pervasive corruption till we know what corruption is, right? What's corruption? Corrupt. Corrupt means rotten or bad. For example, when the animal dies and it lays out in the ground, on the ground, in the sunshine, and the flies are going around it, and it starts to stink, it is corrupted. So we could say it's rotten or going bad. It's not fresh and living and well treated. So when we talk about corruption in society, what we generally mean is that society has gone bad, that people are not treating each other properly, that people are not following laws, people are cheating. And especially when we talk about corruption, we are generally talking about bribes. Bribes. I'll give you something if you give me something, but you're not supposed to give it to me. I'm going to give you something personal. For example, cash, a lovely dinner. And you will give me something connected to your work. Example, you will approve my request for a building license so I can renovate my building. But under the law, you should have said no. Or you should have said nothing. Some other staff is supposed to make that decision, but you pushed the other staff to do because you have some power. All right, so it means doing things that are improper because of some not proper benefit. Corruption. Is corruption the rule or the exception in Korea? Exception means it hardly happens, and when it happens, you're surprised. It's exceptional. It's not the usual. When we say corruption is the rule, we mean it happens so often that people act like it's normal. It's ordinary. Yeah, it's the rule. Doesn't mean law. It means so ordinary we don't think about it. That's the rule. Okay, is corruption rule or exception in Korea? Korea is not an you can read this on your own. I'm going to read it quickly. Korea is not an advanced country by the yardstick of the degree of corruption and transparency. Yardstick. Yardstick is a piece of wood usually, and it is 3 feet long. 1 foot is 33 centimeters. It's 12 inches. 1 foot is 32 or 33, 31 and something centimeters. Anyway, a yard is 3 feet. So if we make a measuring stick that is 3 feet long, and it's very, very common in US, you find it in every school and probably in many houses, it's a yardstick. In Korea, you would think of it as a meter stick, 1 meter. And a meter is 39 inches, and a yard is 36 inches, 39 plus a little bit. So we talk about a yardstick being a standard measure. Okay. How big is it? Oh, it's about a yard. So Korea is not a big country if we measure it by the degree of corruption and transparency. It's not an advanced country. Now, this is 2011. The world's 14th largest economy, and now I think it's top 10, right? The world's 14th largest economy is ranked at 39th among the 180 countries in the Corruption Perception Index, and 22nd among 30 OECD countries surveyed. Now, you have probably heard about the Transparency Index. One of your other classes has probably taught about it. Corruption has become so widespread and systematic under the Lee Myung-bak administration. Widespread, spread wide, find it everywhere. And systematic, it becomes the way that things work. It's the system. Cynics claim corruption is a rule, not an exception in Korea. Cynics, people who are cynical. People, yeah, everything's bad. Yeah, they say it's this, but it's that. Cynics. His cronies and high-ranking officials are under inquiry for bribe-taking allegations. His crony, it sounds like evil partners, evil friends. We use crony to say something that sounds bad. Okay, people who are close to you, your friends, your close co-workers. It sounds evil. His cronies and high-ranking officials are under inquiry, under investigation for bribe-taking allegation. Allegation means, I think you did it. I say you did it. It's not proven, but I say it. They include an assistant minister level commissioner of the Korea Finance Intelligence Unit and the minister of government legislation. Don't care about this. A paid off member of the Council of Commissioners of Government Agency, the Board of Audit and Inspection, is behind bars. A paid off member. Paid off means I gave you money, I bribed you. Okay? He's behind bars. He's in jail because we found that he was paid to make decisions that were not proper. Now, it is in fact proper that somebody got paid, and the decision they made, they would have made that decision anyway. It would be the right decision. But he got paid, and that makes it illegal. Because you cannot get paid except what your job pays you, right? Official pay from your company, from the government. If you're a government worker, from the government, you can't take outside money. That's corruption. Kim Jong-chang, former governor of the Financial Supervisory Service, faces summons for his alleged foot dragging in the audit of Busan Mutual Savings Bank, one of the suspended community banks. Okay, faces summons. A summons is a order from the court. Says, come to us. That's a summons. To be called to the court or to the prosecution. For his alleged, okay, we heard allegation. Alleged means, I say you did it, right? Foot dragging. Foot dragging. Okay, think about the little kid and his mom says, okay, we're going to the doctor. He says, I don't want to go. And he's walking very slow and he's dragging his feet in the dirt. And if mom says, we're going to the store, you can buy some candy. Well, he picks up his feet and he's walking fast, right? But we're going to go to the doctor. Oh, I don't want to go. He's dragging his feet, making dust, wearing out his shoes. Foot dragging, delaying. For his alleged delays, somebody said he's a delaying. In the audit, in the investigation of Busan Mutual Savings Bank, one of the suspended community banks, a few senior financial regulators were arrested for taking bribes in return for conniving at irregularities. Conniving is, let's make this secret plan. We can do this and nobody will know. Okay, so conniving at irregularities. Regular, normal, strange, irregular. So they were planning to do things that were not the way it's supposed to be. Not the regular way of making decisions. They were planning evilly to do things that were not according to the rules. And still, more civil servants face scrutiny as the prosecution is widening the ongoing probe. Scrutiny Investigation. Let's look at this very carefully. Is this a good one? I don't know. Let's see if we can open it. That doesn't open. Okay. Oh, it looks a little dirty in there. All right. Scrutiny, looking at it very closely. More civil servants face scrutiny as the prosecution is widening the ongoing probe. Probe means investigation, means digging in. Public anger has reached the boiling point over the pervasive corruption. Boiling point, all right? Water is boiling. We've been angry, we've been angry, we've been angry. Now it's boiling. Pervasive corruption. Your homework is to find out what is pervasive. Many key civil servants appear to have lost the minimal sense of ethics. Okay, ethics, the idea of what's proper, right, and wrong. It is like having a fox guarding the hen house. We know that foxes like to eat hens, chickens. President Lee's campaign for a fair society sounds hollow. You know hollow, like wood or coconut. It's empty inside. So the campaign, we're going to be fair, sounds like there's nothing there. When the upstream of a river is dirty, the downstream cannot be expected to be clean. Upstream, higher up in the river, for example, we could say, I think Nakdonggang goes through Andong, near Andong, and comes down, and comes to Daegu, and it goes down and goes to Busan. So Busan is all the way downstream. Daegu is upstream from Busan, and Andong is upstream from Daegu. So if the water is dirty in Andong, it must be dirty in Daegu. And if Daegu water gets even more dirty, it must be dirty downstream. Many people will be unable to have their deposits returned from the bankrupt savings banks. Deposit, the money you put in expecting to get back later, and hopefully more. Bankrupt, I think you know that one. Okay? Can't pay what they owe. Their financial troubles deepened. Here it means what? This is a bad sentence. Their financial troubles, does that mean the people, or does that mean the bankrupt savings? It's not clear. It's not a perfect English sentence. Thank you, Korea Times. Their financial, this is Korea Herald actually, isn't it? Korea Times. Their financial troubles deepened as regulators were part of the crime ring in the scandal involving mutual savings banks. Okay, in other words, the mutual savings banks kind of knew they were in trouble, but they paid government servants to not look, to make everything okay. And the savings banks officials thought, well, we'll be okay. It'll somehow it's going to be okay. And it got worse and worse. And they paid government officials, don't investigate us. Just let it go, and we'll fix it later, okay? So the financial troubles of the savings banks and of the people, finally, deepened as regulators, people who were supposed to be watching, managing the regulations, were part of the crime ring in the scandal involving mutual savings banks. Because we know that the leaders in these savings banks were loaning money to their friends who would never be able to pay back. It was kind of like a gift. So you want to build an apartment? Okay, we'll loan you the money, and you give me 2 apartments that I will sell, and I'll be able to sell those apartments, me personally. And we know you'll never pay back the bank, but that's okay because I got money. President Lee is partly responsible for the pervasive corruption in officialdom. We hear that a lot in Korea. We don't hear it in the U.S. much. Officialdom, the world of public officials. He paid lip service to uprooting corruption. Lip service. See my lips moving? But I'm not really saying anything. Okay, lip service. It's like, even if I talk, it doesn't really mean anything. Even if I say good English sentences, my heart doesn't mean it. One of his bodyguards President Lee's bodyguards, received cash from a security equipment provider. Okay? Security equipment for the president's, for the Chengwade, the president's house, or for something else, I don't know. A general got money from a military subcontractor. Okay? We're going to buy new bullets. We'll choose this company if you give me something. A top military procurement officer had his palms greased for peddling influence. Palms greased. Okay, you know grease, right? Grease like oil or something. This is your palm. When we say palms greased, it means slide money across it. Here, I'll give you some money if you'll help me do something. An operator of a lucrative construction site restaurant bought off a police chief. Okay, so lucrative means makes a lot of money. Lucre comes from Latin, it means money. So lucrative construction site restaurant. Somebody ran a restaurant at a construction site and he made a lot of money and the police should have closed him, but he gave money to the police chief and the police chief said, don't bother them. It's okay. Corruption. Corruption in officialdom is serious because its damage is prevalent and non-discriminatory. Prevalent means it's everywhere. Non-discriminatory. To discriminate means to make this different from that. Okay. If I'm following the rules, then I can say, here's the rules, you passed. You didn't. There's some discrimination. And it's legal discrimination. There's a rule that says you have to do this. But when there's corruption, it means those rules go away. It doesn't matter if you're good or bad. If you pay me, you pass. Law violating government officials must be subject to additional punishment. More punishment than maybe just the minimum. There should not be extenuating circumstances for their crimes. Extenuating means, oh, there's a special condition. Please understand that my father is sick. Okay, that would be extenuating circumstances. Why can't you take the midterm test on time? My grandmother died. That's an extenuating circumstance. Yes, I'll give you more time. All right? Extenuating circumstance. Such unusual special case that we have to consider maybe should be different. Here it says there should not be extenuating circumstances for your crime. I don't care if you're retiring next year and you don't have enough money because you have 3 children going to university in America and you can't afford it, so you need some extra money. I don't care. I don't care if your brother has a business and he went bankrupt and now you have to support him. It doesn't matter. That's not an extenuating circumstance. Even if it's a special case, we don't give you any special rules. There's no extenuating circumstances. You're a public servant. This is the rule. This is the rule. These bribe takers should no longer be allowed to rejoin officialdom. You got caught. We kick you out. 2 years later, you're back. No, that should not happen. They should not receive pardons or amnesty. Pardon means the president or the governor, if it's a local crime. You don't have in Korea, but in the U.S. we do. A pardon is when the highest official says, yes, you did it. You're a criminal, but we're going to erase it. We'll always know you did it, but you don't have to go to jail. You don't have to pay a fine. We're going to erase it. It's okay. That's a pardon. An amnesty means yes, you did it, but we're going to say we don't care. Amnesty is usually very wide. For example, a tax amnesty could be everybody who didn't pay their taxes in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19. If you pay your basic tax before September 2020, we don't charge any penalty. We won't send you to jail. We'll say, it's okay. If you pay, we're giving you extra time, We're closing our eyes. Amnesty. No penalty, just make it good. Okay? But a pardon says you're already caught. You're already, the judge has already said guilty, and then the highest official says, okay, we're going to forgive you. We're going to pardon you. All right. The government should also introduce a system of gauging the integrity of public officials. Gauging, measuring. A gauge could be your measuring stick, right? If you have a meter stick, it has meters and it has centimeters and probably it has millimeters. And how big is this? Well, you gauge it by putting your measuring stick up and going, 17 millimeters or 1.7 centimeters or 0.17 meters, right? We have a way to measure. We have a gauge. We need to introduce a system, a way of measuring the integrity of public officials. Integrity means basically the opposite of corruption. Integrity means I do the right thing for the right reason. Okay? I follow the rules. President Lee should hold back from appointing associates to key posts. Well, that's silly. Okay? You always will give the job to people you know and trust. It's going to happen. Maybe not always, not every case, but it's very normal that you're going to give a job to somebody you know and you trust. So to refrain, to hold back from appointing associates to key posts, that's probably not going to happen. Of course, a good man, a good president, could be a good woman, president, is going to appoint the best qualified people. But what is qualified? We can say, well, he has much experience. She has done the deputy job before. She's ready to step up. That's part of it, all right? But also part of knowing who's best qualified is who can I trust to do the job well. Because that deputy who looks like ready to step up, we know that deputy really loves the other party. That deputy is really mentally, philosophically opposite of my way. So I can't really trust that deputy to do things the way I want with all their passion and energy, because it's just not their idea. So I should appoint somebody who I can trust to do the job my way. So to say President Lee should refrain from appointing associates to key posts is not very realistic. But then they say these political appointees need enormous funds to maintain a social network to keep their positions. What that means is that people are collecting bribes because they need lots of cash in order to keep their job, because they need then to give money. They need to give money to people who support them so that they keep supporting. Otherwise, if you don't give me money, I'll support the other guy. So it sounds like a cash-based system. It's not really merit. I'll buy you. You support me. And I'll give you money so that you give me what I want. So there's money going both ways. Korea should root out the organized crime of giving favors to retiring regulators, taxmen, and judges by incumbent officials. What does this mean? We call it in English the golden parachute. I am a deputy minister, or I am a samgup or a sagup in the Ministry of Finance, and I'm retiring at age 60 or 62 or whatever. And what happened? A bank offers me a job. I've never worked in a bank. I've been a public servant all my life. But I worked in the finance ministry, and they think, well, if we give him a job and if we have a problem, he can talk to his juniors. He's not working there anymore, but they were his juniors, and help us. So there's this kind of idea of businesses, in a way, bribing government by hiring retirees so they can use their pressure on current government workers. Okay, giving favors to retiring regulators, taxmen, and judges by incumbent officials. So Now that he's retired and working for ABC Bank, he picks up the phone and calls his before junior and says, "Hey, this is senior, and I heard you guys are going to do an audit on ABC Bank, and I want to ask you, can you do me a favor? Can you uh, be kind? And this week is not good. We need 3 more weeks to prepare to hide our stuff, so that when your team comes in, everything will be okay. Can you do that for me? Yeah, sure, okay." That's basically corruption. Korea has no hope as long as corruption is extensive, wide, and everywhere in officialdom. Korea's march to a fair society should see added momentum. Momentum is when something is moving, it wants to keep moving, right? Remember those law of thermodynamics? Something that's moving wants to keep moving. Momentum. We want to see added momentum. In other words, we want it to go faster and faster, stronger and stronger. Korea's march to a fair society should see added momentum. The Lee administration should kick off a program, kick off a game, should start a program to refurbish Korea's internationally tainted image. To refurbish. To refurbish means to make like new. I have an old sofa and I take it to the shop and they take it apart and they check the springs. The springs are good. Fix that spring. Add in fresh, new, clean padding. Put a new cover on it. Take it to my house. It looks like a brand new sofa. But it's actually still mostly the old. It's been refurbished. Yeah. Take my old car. Give it a lot of work. New paint. Looks like new. It's refurbished. The Lee administration should start a program to refurbish Korea's internationally tainted. Tainted means colored wrong or damaged. For example, if you have clean water and you drop the soap in it, you take the soap out really fast, but now do you want to drink that water? Oh, it's going to have a little taste of soap in it. It's not pure anymore. It's been tainted. Tainted often suggests that there's some kind of bad thing in it, contamination, or maybe a paint or an oil. So it's damaged. Internationally tainted image as a corrupt republic. So right now, Korea looks like a corrupt republic, and that is our internationally tainted image. And the Lee administration should kick off a program to refurbish it, to clean it up, to refurbish Korea's internationally tainted image as a corrupt republic and a land of crony capitalism. Okay, we said crony, right? Your friends kind of involved in evil or ugly plans. Capitalism, okay? Crony capitalism, where businesses work together to do things and businesses work with government to do things. And I'm pretty sure this article is still available online. Let's give it a click and make sure. Now, this happens to be the print version. Is it going to open? Okay, it opens in a different browser. Oh, the page is not there anymore. That's because this page is from 2010. I actually printed it in 2013. So the page is no longer live. Korea Times did a big update in all of their system around 2014 or so, I think. Might be able to find this article if we look for it hard in Google or something. But anyway, that's the reading for our Thursday discussion. The question is, has anything changed? Well, you've got your homework. And then on Thursday, we're going to talk about corruption, transparency, Kim Young Lanbap, gold, silver, earthen spoons. Lots of things to talk about. All right? That's all for tonight. I'll see you in Zoom. Oh, I lost my...